Welcome to the Shifting People podcast, where we go deep into the weeds with leaders on the front lines of people management in the service industry. We interview the best minds in HR and talent acquisition, along with owner-operators, franchisees, and general managers to bring you real insights that you can actually apply in your business today. I'm your co-host, Derek Williamson.
And I'm Kathleen McDonough, and it's time to get to work. Today we have Oscar Castillo, Manager of Operational Performance at RiseUp Restaurants, which is a Wingstop franchisee and a Pizza Patron franchisor, which is really cool. Welcome, Oscar. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, excited to have you.
Very excited. Tell us about you. Tell us about how you got here and then what you do at RiseUp.
Absolutely. My journey started working as a cashier at McDonald's when I was 16 years old. I worked there for a number of years, and I am so happy looking back on it. I'm like, man, I can't believe I did that, but I'm glad I learned it very early on, and that I got the best, worst advice I've ever received or anybody can receive. And that is never train your replacement. So don't teach people everything you know, because then what are they going to need you for?
The classic knowledge hoarding strategy.
Absolutely. So I did that, and I was the best front of house person you could ever meet, man. Nobody closed lobby better than me. Nobody did drive-through better than me. Nobody did any of that stuff better than me, man. But guess what? When time came to be promoted, you're the best front of house person. We can't afford to lose you. So let's just wait a little bit till we find another front of house person, then we can promote you. So the advice worked. I didn't train my replacement, therefore I couldn't do more. I left McDonald's after like 2 years of being there. I was like 18, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna leave this. I'm gonna do something else. Then I did a couple of different industries after that. Communications and public relations is what I got a degree in. So I did PR for a little bit. I did a little bit of recruiting. Actually, I did recruiting for a while. That's how I got into my current role. From here, I did training, HR, and then now in the operational side. So it's been a great journey, just seeing that transition happen in real time, and how it all came full circle of like, all right, now I'm back in the restaurants. So it's fun. It's been a fun ride here.
Yeah, no kidding. I really want to ask you more about, especially that McDonald's experience. But first, if you don't mind, just because RiseUp is particularly unique, if you wouldn't mind just telling us a little bit more about the operation, the two different brands, like what does your role entail, just to give listeners a little bit of context?
Absolutely. RiseUp Restaurants is like the parent company for our Wingstop franchise and the Pizza Patron corporate office. So we all live under that umbrella. We're also adding in a nonprofit, which I don't know if I can speak too much about that, but we're adding a third brand, if you will, but it's a nonprofit that's coming up. My role in it is really just the data and analytics side of it now. It's bringing in the data, having the reports available so we can have our frontline leaders be able to make decisions from, hey, this is where the focus needs to be on this week or this period, this quarter, etc. So just getting them that information out there, as well as special projects like we organize pep rallies, where we bring both brands together, both Wingstop and Pizza Patron leaders, and we have a little bit of friendly competition with each other, helping out with things like we just did Habitat for Humanity. So we had our Wingstop and Pizza Patron. It just so happened that some of them were mixed in, but one side had more Wingstop, other side had more Pizza Patron. So then as we were helping people, we were laying sod. Of course, our rivalry kicked in, and it's what side how far are you guys in? Oh, we'll finish quicker. So we're like hustling, trying to get it out. And the guys who were helping us, they were looking at us like, I'm serious. What they told us, hey, we've never seen someone finish this quick. And it's yeah, because damn, pizza's not gonna beat us. We're on the Wingstop side. Like we're gonna finish quicker. We're doing better. So there's like that friendly sibling rivalry of who does things better. Even something as charitable as laying sod for families at Habitat for Humanity, we find a way to like, all right, can we do it quicker than the other guys over there? And yeah, it's a fun experience. Like I mentioned, the pep rallies, we have little friendly rivalries there. We have games like playing Jenga and stuff like that. I will give Pizza Patron a shout out. they have beat us. They have beat the Wingstop side at 4 pep rallies in a row. Credit where credit is due. They are very good at Jenga.
Awesome. And so that's really unique because you're bringing both brands together. It's not like they're treated like two separate business units. Like in a lot of organizations that have multiple brands, it's totally separate teams and the only commonality is just ownership.
Yep.
But I'm curious, like operationally, it's very different. Wingstop obviously is a franchisee. You're beholden to corporate and a franchisor there
Yep.
versus Pizza Patron here is much more control, much more autonomy on decision making. So
Yep.
how does the organization balance those? Like, how do you keep those two things balanced? And what does that look like in terms of the cultures and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. The grass is always greener, right? One side says, you guys are lucky because corporate does that for you guys, versus us, on the franchise side, saying, you guys are lucky because you get to do whatever you want and you get to make the rules. So it's like we have that yin and the yang. Okay, clearly there's got to be a middle ground, right? The way that really it works is operationally, the way we hire, the way we interview, the way we do things, our leadership meetings, they're pretty aligned in the same things. We're talking about the same things. The items in the restaurant, yes, they're different food. It's different food, different procedures. Restaurant still needs to be clean. The guest still needs to be taken care of. The food still needs to be hot and needs to be ready by the quote time. So a lot of that, we have a lot more in common than we would think at first. So a lot of that is aligned, which is great. But really, it's how aligned is it? It's if you go to a restaurant on one side of town and then you go to another restaurant on the other side of town. In theory, they should be the same, but for those in the restaurant industry know is that sometimes you go into one restaurant and you're having fun, you're doing trust falls with the team, your hand hurts from all the high fives you gave, and then you go to the other restaurant and it's, oh, okay, this is different. This feels different, right? Could there be some of that as well? Hey, do things feel different? Yeah, it's going to happen like in any organization, different departments, different things that are a little bit different. But the overall structure, the overall hierarchy, and the overall mission, which is like all we're here to do is sell pizza and sell chicken wings. Anything above that's a bonus, but that's what we're here to do. And let's focus on that. And if we focus on that, then we can focus on other things like having fun and getting revenge on the Jenga games. Then we get to focus on the fun stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a beauty to simplifying a business like that, right? Like and it's true in many businesses, but I think it's really helpful to bring people back to that sort of this is really what we're here to do. Let's make sure we're focusing on that and not getting distracted. In a similar vein, so your day-to-day role is for based on what you've said, and please expand on it if I'm off,
Yeah.
but really what you're trying to do is simplify through data, right? Like you're trying to look at what's going on across different restaurants and figure out, all right, like painting the picture. So curious, what are you looking at on a daily basis? And I'm sure there's a gap in terms of, okay, you maybe find some things. Then your job is obviously to then relay that, right? Like you're trying to drive some change here.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about that. Like what's that day to day? Like what are the things you're really honing in on? And then we'll get into like how are you actually then executing that? How are you implementing that with like your restaurant leaders?
Absolutely. So the main thing that we are one of the major focuses we're looking at is guest satisfaction. How happy is our guest with our food? Because that tells us, was it ready on time? Were the people friendly? Was it what they ordered, right? So all these things factor into that. That satisfaction, that is a key metric we look at. Now, can I tell one thing that we've been trying to find is, okay, so what is that secret bullet? What is that data point that, like, if you do this, like, this is going to lead to success? We're still looking for it. There is no key determining factor of it. One thing that I have found very interesting, and it makes sense when you say it out loud, but we don't always think about it, is that the restaurant leaders that do the best in terms of performance are the ones that know their metrics. Seriously, it sounds very simple. We've done this, and that even goes into my recruiter days. The recruiters that knew how many people they had in the pipeline, knew what stage they were in that pipeline, they did the absolute best versus the ones that, Yeah, I have some people. Oh, they're coming. I'm working on stuff. Okay, what stuff? What's the data? What's the reasoning behind it? We played this, not a game, but kind of a little icebreaker where, okay, so we're going to do this KPI, and I want you guys to talk to each other, rank yourselves from 0% to 100%. And where do you fall in that line, right? The people who perform the best are the ones that were right in front of the line and said, oh, mine is 2.58 as of this morning. That knew it to the decimal point. And I had it right there with me. And it's like, dang, man, you really checked it this morning. This is like to the dot. And the ones that weren't doing as well, they're like, I think it's maybe 10. I think it's maybe somewhere 8 or 9. Or, oh, that's a lot lower than I thought. But you need to know these things. That's one of those things it's not about knowing it. It's about, are you engaged enough to know it? Do you, I don't want to say care, but for lack of a better word, do you care enough to know about the data? Because if you do, then you know, okay, then I should be doing these other things to lead that better. So I would even say, just for business leaders starting off, is not to focus so much on the data itself, at least very early on. It's more like, how do I get this information out to the team? And how do I get them to turn that into actions? Because it's not about the data. You can look at data all day. It's what you do with it after the fact. And the first step is, one, I need you to see it. I need you to see it, and I need you to understand what it means. Once I do that, okay, then let's talk about it. This is what causes this. And once you get to that, they make that connection, that light bulb go off, and is, oh, so if I get more surveys, or if I do this, if I start bringing down my speed of service, then this is going to happen. Yes. So then now they're coming up with the ideas, and now it's, oh, that's my plan now. I get to do it. Dude, that is a great idea. Let's do it. Let's get it done. And then that creates even more engagement in the restaurant versus, oh, I don't know, Oscar just told me to come in here and just do this, so that's what I'm going to do. No, it's have it, explain it to them, and then they will come up with those ideas. And then you could just guide them. Okay, yeah, you know what? Well, have you maybe tried this? Have you maybe tried that? Let's take a look at this. And you align them in the right way, but it's still their idea. It's still their plan. And you're just there to support them and guide them. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's like knowledge, obviously, knowledge is power. And then there's this other piece that I loved that you explained. The understanding is really important as well, understanding what it means, right? It's not enough to just have the data and know, oh, I'm at an 8.2%, but what does that really mean? And then it feels like, from what you said, understanding what it means is then empowerment, because then they can start to think of how I can change it, how I can make things better. So yeah, really like the way you phrase that. And I like what you do there with your team. I wonder, when you rank people, so the people that, you ever had people go, or when you play the game where they guess where they are from 0 to 100%?
Yep.
Anyone ever super far off? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Some of them are very far off. But one thing I found is that they always underestimate themselves. They think they're further away. And it's, no, you're actually closer to it than you think. It's never like that them trying to like, oh, no, I'm the best. No, they know. At least I haven't found it in any of the ones that I've done. But usually it's they just underestimate themselves of, no, I'm clearly doing worse than I'm currently doing. But give yourself credit. Like, you're doing a good job. Is it where we want to be in the goal? Maybe not at that time. But you're not that far off. You're only like 2 people away, man. You're almost there. If you just focus on this and this, you're done. Like, you're good. So that kind of that realization also helps. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So just do that. And then guess what? They go back to the restaurant. They get like 10 more surveys in, and it's all right, cool. So I'm done. That's it, man. Like, you're meeting goal now. Just maintain it. Don't go backwards, but just maintain it after that. So, that's that sign. The thing that really pushed me into that data side of it is I was reading this book of 4 Disciplines of Execution. It's a great book. And one of the things they talk about, one of the disciplines, they talk about having a scoreboard. If you don't have a scoreboard, you're not going to get ahead. If you're not measuring it, you're not going to improve on it. It'll be kind of like coming in and seeing a basketball game playing on TV and there's no scoreboard. Like, how engaged are you going to be with that game? Who's winning? Like, where are we at? What's the point of this? You're just seeing them go through the motions. And now imagine playing in that basketball game without knowing the score. After a while, it's like, which one's even my basket? Like, where am I supposed to go? That, I feel like, data just really brings clarity and it just promotes engagement as to how you're doing. Are you winning? Are you losing? Are you like that close? So let's just help get you there. Data is critical. It could be detrimental because then that's all you're focusing on and you're not focusing on the people side of it, the coaching side of it. So you got to have that yin and the yang of it to be able to do both. But yeah, just data, man.
Yeah.
That's all I do.
Oh my gosh, I love that comparison because you're right. If you're not tracking the data and if in a game, if there's no scoreboard, I don't care. I'm not interested. What is the
Yeah.
point? It would feel like you're a kid at a soccer game that's not when you're kids and they don't keep
Mhm.
track and they're just running around for no reason and the parents are like, I could be doing a million other things right now. But yeah,
Yep.
the best leaders do balance like having data, looking at it, looking at the numbers constantly, but also putting people, making it really important for people. I wonder though, when we think about data, because obviously data is your job and it's really important, should guest satisfaction. But other than that, maybe what are some metrics that matter the most for your leaders or that you would recommend that anyone else listening looks at if they haven't already?
Obviously, the profitability side of it in the restaurant industry, the food costs, the labor costs, those are going to be the prime expenses. Typically, not always, but typically the other stuff that comes out are, I don't want to say non-controllable, but like your rent, your light bill, your electricity bill, all that stuff that's set for the most part. There may be crazy things happening, but for the most part, that's set. The ones you have most control over are going to be your food costs and your labor costs. So just really honing in on those to remain profitable. That's going to be one of the best things that you can do just to balance it. I would say though, starting off with those would be the two main ones to look at. Other stuff that comes from there are just symptoms in a way. So let me give you an example of what I mean by symptoms. So like we were created a report that said, hey, here are all the phone calls that were missed from this particular restaurant or this particular area, et cetera. So we could see how many phone calls are not being answered. And we see that. And as we're looking at it, we're seeing the restaurants at the top, and it's like, okay, are we that shocked? They're going down in sales, they're doing this, their dissatisfaction is this, they're doing this, they're doing that. And it's okay. No, because answering phone calls, it matters, but the thing that it's saying it is that it's a symptom of it. If they're not doing that, what else are they not doing? To bring it back to food costs and labor, if they are not counting inventory, if they're not plugging it in correctly, what else are they not doing? If they're not seasoning correctly, what else are they not doing? Right. That would be the two main ones to focus on first. And then once you really master those, then you can start branching off as to, okay, what contributes to food costs? Let's measure that. What contributes to our labor? Let's start looking at that. So that would be my recommendation for anybody starting off to looking at that data.
Yeah. Oscar, I'm going to take us in a bit of a people direction where it's always people attached, but I'm really curious just because you have the unique background where you've done the recruiting side too. And as you've been speaking about the metrics and especially the difference of having leaders who really care and are engaged with their metrics, I'm curious what your thoughts are on, is that something that you have to hire for, or is that something you can really train? You talked about how you can get people to engage with it more, but do you find like there's got to be a baseline coming in, or do you really think that it is something that can be really taught and learned?
I think it could really be taught and learned. So one of the absolute beautiful things about really even just living in this country is that if you could do absolutely anything you want to do, like we can all say, you know what, we're going to be doctors and we can study and we can do our thing and go to school. Granted, some of us might take us longer than others to get there, but we could realistically do it if we really wanted to and had the time and resources to do it. But we could really do it. So I firmly believe anyone could be taught anything. Just give it enough time and give it enough resources, it can be done. Bringing people in, I feel like that could, from a recruiting standpoint, the problem with it is that when you look at it from a leader point of view, and it's, oh, I need managers here at this restaurant, I need managers here, I need managers here. And it just becomes I don't want to say an object, but it just becomes almost like a register. Oh, I need this and I need this here and this here. And then the gaps are filled. And then you move on to something else. And it's like, no, like there's more to it, right? It could be very simple to look at it from a macro level, just to fit things in. But once you really start honing into it, okay, let's really take a look at this. And how, when we bring someone in, when we hire these rock stars, what are we doing with these rock stars, right? Are we setting them up for success here? Or are we just saying, okay, I really need you to manage this restaurant and just don't burn it down and just put it here. And then let's move on to the next one. I turn off this other fire and then I do this. And then this person feels that they don't have any support. They feel like they weren't taught. So then they end up leaving because a top performer is not going to want to work for a low performer because, hey, why would I want to work for you? I'm going to go somewhere else. And then we're back on this wheel of, okay, then now I have to go back over here and try to find coverage over here. And then I it turns to a whack-a-mole. And I've seen that this is not exclusive to just restaurant industries. I've recruited for call centers. I've recruited for warehouses, you name it. And it happens a lot where we're so focused on just turning off the fire that's happening right now that we don't think about, okay, well, how do I prevent these fires from continuing to happen? And yeah, so bringing in people that have an outside perspective, that think differently, those are great. But we find a lot of success in, where I think most people are going to find success in, is promoting the people that are already engaged, that already know your product, that already want to be there, that show up on time, that do their job. They're happy to be there. They just need to be given a shot. So giving them that opportunity, that's how most people in the restaurant industry move up. Someone somewhere gave them an opportunity and they ran with it. To answer your question of, can it be taught or do we bring people in? It's a healthy combination of both, because you don't want to just have an echo chamber where everybody just repeats and regurgitates the same message. It's good to have it because they already care, but you still need that extra person coming in from the outside and say, hey, at my previous life, we did this way. Oh, I didn't even think about doing that. Okay, let's do that. That's a great idea. Let's try it. So you have that balance of it. So yeah, that's where I would say a combination of both. But I think overall, most success would definitely come in from your internal people, the people that already care and already doing the job.
Yeah, which brings it full circle to your story of yourself at McDonald's back in the day,
Mhm.
right? If you had been promoted despite someone not being able to take your place, or you being so good at your job that they didn't want to take you from that would
Mhm.
have made all the difference, right? Like, you could have
Mhm.
brought so much to that next roll up. It would have improved your career. You maybe wouldn't have left after 2 years, right? You could still be working at McDonald's now. Who knows? On a different timeline.
Different timeline.
Yeah, so absolutely. No, like, that is full circle, and the importance of promoting from within. And I wonder if you have any, thinking back to that experience of yours, if you have any tips for someone in that scenario, right? You're a manager, you have a really high top performer, you don't have someone to replace them with, but you know they should be moved up. What would you do in that scenario?
Mhm. Looking back on it, I would talk to them and I would say, look, I want to. This is the game plan. This is where I need you to be. And we just hired Joe, started last week. Can you do me a favor? Can you help me transition Joe? I need him to be just as good as you, or not as good as you, no one's as good as you, but I've got them pretty darn close to you, right? So we can start transitioning you. So we need you to train your replacement. That's something that we talk about with our leaders is, hey, if you're going to promote somebody, cool. Who's their replacement? Who have they trained with? And if the answer is no one, all right, cool. Then they're not ready. They're not ready for that transition yet. So that would be my advice to them, or how I would act as that manager is, let's work with somebody. Let's identify somebody. If we haven't hired somebody, or maybe there isn't someone yet, which then that's a bigger problem, which is then if we didn't identify a leader already, well, then who do we have and why aren't they leaders? Is there a gap in our hiring process where we're kind of doing the mirror test where if we see it fog up, then all right, you're hired, let's go in? Or are we having conversations with them? Are we seeing people motivated? One thing I do want to say, because I hear it a lot and it always bugs me, is, oh, this younger generation doesn't want, but they've been saying that about every generation since, I think someone looked it back and it was like the Greeks said it, like, oh yeah, this younger generation is like, come on, man. So they're just different, right? And it's different because the things that influenced and motivated us are maybe not the same things that influence and motivate them. So then we need to be smarter and think, okay, if what motivated me, because to me, a big motivation is to get the recognition from my supervisor and say, hey, great job. I appreciate that. To me, that is valuable, right? To me, that's the social motivation side of it. Then we have to look at, okay, maybe it's not that from team members, then what does motivate them? And the answer is not always money. I'm telling you, it is not always money. So what can we do? Is it that responsibility? Is it the, hey, can you do me a favor? Let's train these people. Would you mind like taking over and leading the charge on that? And then seeing a team member light up because, now I'm the head cashier now. All right, let's go. Let's train these guys. And just giving them that responsibility, that creates engagement for them. And if they're engaged, they're doing a much better job. And that helps them with their development. But really, it's what we have to do in that moment is continue to create engagement for our team, right? Continue to create engagement. If somebody feels like they're being passed on, it's okay to be passed on, but we need to give them a reason for it. A reason, and what can they do about it? If we just tell them, no, we're just not promoting you, it's not a right time. All right, cool. Then I'm just going to go across the street to KFC and get a job with them because they'll hire me on the spot. No, it's not right now because of this. And here's what you can do to help me so we can get there quicker. Oh, okay, cool. Now it's a different conversation that we can have. Yeah, that's my final answer and advice.
Yeah, really good stuff. We got into some really interesting things there. There's a lot of threads we could pull on. One thing that you mentioned, and I'd love if we could expand on it a bit. You talked about the assumption that often is, especially in this industry, there's an assumption that people just care about money, right? And that's the way to motivate them, whatever. I feel like there's a lot of assumptions that happen in the restaurant environment. Any other ones, just through your experiences, that you've found are surprising, or any other situations where you've maybe rethought how you think about management, employee leadership?
Yeah. So one thing I found that was just a very interesting one. So when I was in training, I was doing an orientation with a manager in training, right? And then the training GM came up to me and he's, hey, how you doing? I was working with this person. He doesn't want to be promoted because he's going to school and stuff. And I'm like, oh, what's going on? He was going to school. It doesn't really align with what he wants to do. What is going to school for? Oh, going to school for business management. But are you serious right now? Okay. Is he here? Yeah, he's the guy in the back. He's a hard worker. Okay, cool. I'm gonna go talk to him if you don't mind. Oh yeah, please do. So I went to go talk to him and he's, oh yeah, no, what do you like about business? What do you like about this? What do you like about that? And he's like, oh, I like my accounting class. I really like that. I really like the numbers side of it. I find it very cool, like the reports and stuff. I'm like, cool. Hey, can I show you something on the computer real quick? So I pull up it was a Monday, so we had just finished inventory. They were going through it. So I'm like, hey, let's look at food costs, right? So we start breaking it down. So, this is how much we spend. This is how much we should have spent. And this is the opportunity. So what this number means is that we overused mayo, right? So you see the mayos that are over there and you kind of scrape it with a spoon. See, like this is waste, like enough of these equal to that. And that's why we have that. We're in the pennies industry. So we can start looking at this. So now you can have, when you're talking to your team, it's like, hey, make sure that we're scraping the mayo because the report tells me this. And he's looking at it and I started like, we have that? I didn't know we did that. Like, to me, I thought a manager was the guy who was just bagging stuff. I'm like, yes, you do have to do that too. I'm like, that's how you know you do have to do that too. But there's more to it, right? There's the business acumen side to it that we didn't talk about. It's a business and we have to run the business. He's like, wow, I had no idea. I'm like, yeah. And I brought over the manager. He's like, hey, he seems a little interested. Would you mind going over the labor costs, mind going over some of the data that you have when you get a chance, just for his own sake, because it's going to help him out with his degree. So if nothing else, at least he has some hands-on experience with what that is. And then a week or two later, I get his promotion packet that he's ready to be promoted. Because now he sees the connection of, oh, it is more than that. It's not just me running a shift. It's me learning on what the business side is. There's a stigma. I feel there's stigma. I may be wrong now, but I feel there's a stigma with working in the restaurant industry. Say, oh, it's just my temporary job until I find something else. But I pay bonuses for my managers. It's a career, guys. You make some good money here. Because you do that, you're running multi-million-dollar units. So you need to have that experience, that business side of it. It's not just bagging orders or making fries. That is a portion of it, but it's also how do I manage it so that we can remain profitable One, profitable, and two, how do I make it so that now that we're making more, we can adapt and I can start giving you more raises. I can start promoting you. I can start having more managers on shift, right? So you get to start doing a little bit more of that. And then it becomes from, oh, I'm just a cook to I'm a leader of a multi-million-dollar unit. That's a big difference. Explaining that and coaching that to people, especially the younger generation that may not know that it is a possibility to grow within the restaurant industry, I think that's a key opportunity for us.
Yeah, amen. And one of the reasons that Kathleen and I are doing this podcast, right? Like we speak to so many folks that similar to you, like maybe started early on in this industry and then like went a different direction, said, okay, there's not really anything for me here, but then found their way back and highlighting like with guests like you, right? That there are very interesting opportunities in this space. Hopefully we can have a little impact, but I agree in general that there's a mentality in it. It's top down sometimes, right? That these employees are only here for a short time. Turnover is inevitable. It is what it is. And we're missing a lot of opportunity to grow within. And then, like we were talking about before, really that's where your best leaders are going to come from, right? Off of the floor, people that have worked all the way up. Curious, but there's one other thing when we were talking before the recording as well. You mentioned an experience where you had someone, I believe they were a manager who had recently been promoted or was fairly new. And then there was a bit of a surprise when they didn't know how to do something. Do you know what I'm talking about? There was, I believe it was
Oh,
about orientation, right?
yes, yes. So it's the on assumptions. Felt funny. So I showed up one time. Again, I was in training at the time. So there was going to be a new team member starting off that day. So I'm like, oh, like that's awesome. Let me go give them a little swag bag and we're going to go have some fun. They're going to do the orientation. It's going to be awesome. So I show up and I see the team members on the line and I'm like, why is the team member on the line? They should be doing this. They need to be doing orientation. And then after that, then you do your modules and stuff, but you shouldn't be on the line. Not very that early on. So I talked to the manager. I'm like, hey, buddy, do you want to have you done your orientation already? Oh, no, not yet. Okay. Hey, tell you what, go do the orientation. I'll stay here. I'll work on the line here. You go do it with them. Like, it's all right. I got it. Don't worry about it. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll go do it right now. And then like some time passed by. I'm like talking to the cooks working and I see he hasn't moved. He's still doing what he was doing and the cook's still doing what he was doing. And I'm like, okay, so time's passing. Like, all right, let me go ask again. And my assumption, my story is, oh, he just doesn't believe orientation is important. He thinks he knows better, right? I'm going like in this story in my head. Okay, what's going on? But before I start going Oscar on him, I think, okay, hey, but does he know? Hey, have you ever done an orientation before? He's like, no, sir, I've never done an orientation before. Ah, so it wasn't that he didn't want to do it. It's just legitimately he didn't know how to do it. He felt embarrassed because he was in position for X amount of years, X amount of time that he was a manager. And us as leaders, we just assumed that he knew how to give an orientation because you've been with a company for X amount of years. You've been promoted from hourly to AGM to GM. Surely you must have done an orientation at one point. So you just go do that. And he didn't know. And you could tell he was embarrassed. He didn't want to admit it, but he said it. And so I'm like, oh, I'm sorry about that. Okay, I'll tell you what, I'm going to go do an orientation with him. Would you like to sit in with us while I do it? I was like, oh, that would be awesome. We went in and we did it. And he was still like a little apprehensive, very quiet at first. So as we're doing it, I just kept tossing it back to him. Oh, can you tell him a little bit about the uniform standards? And just toss it back to him. And then slowly but surely, he started getting more comfortable and more comfortable. And by the end of it, he was basically doing it on his own. So it's okay. So he knows the material. He knows what an orientation. He's been a manager. He knows. He just wasn't confident enough to do it on his own. And that's where I think we can just do that a lot better just as an industry in terms of training of not just, oh, here is the content that you need to know and you just need to know this. Okay, cool. Yeah, I know the content. I've been here long enough. I know the content, but the training should really be more on how can I get you comfortable so that you can have this discussion, whether it be for counseling reports. Okay, here is how you properly counsel someone. You know what you should and shouldn't say, but okay, let's role play. And it can get a little like weird. I'm not gonna role play with you. Play pretend. Like, yeah, because this is how you get comfortable. Because when you do it in real life, when it actually matters, I don't want you to trip up and say something you shouldn't say. I want you to, if you're gonna trip up during practice, not during game day, having that and just the opportunity for more role playing in the training environment, really, just to get hands-on experience, I feel that's gonna be very helpful for just the industry as a whole.
Yeah, that's first of all an amazing story, right? That's like you uncovered that just by he wasn't moving, right? He wasn't going and doing
Mhm,
the thing that you did. And I love that you didn't assume and you asked that question.
mhm,
There's two little like themes that we keep coming back to. The first one is obviously the assumptions. And in both
mhm.
scenarios, it a question was the answer,
Yeah.
right? The to stop that assumption and to figure things out, a question, a simple question changed everything. So I think that there's like a kind
Mhm,
of theme there of using questions to like combat assumptions, right? Or
mhm,
figure those out deeper. And then when you went on the like knowing versus understanding, right? We talked about it a little bit before with the data part of it, but also with the training. There's a big difference between knowing something and then understanding and living it. And I agree with
you're
you
right.
that role play is, it seems silly, right? It might seem below you or whatnot. It is one of the most helpful things. And for so many scenarios, not just training, for anything, but
Mhm.
take the leap from, I'm really going to do role play. Once you do it, it's, oh, this is fun. I like doing it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we have I teach this course currently in my position, which is a crucial conversation course derived from the book Crucial Conversations. And one of the things that we talk about there is that we tell stories about ourselves. So if you see a tiger in the woods, you're not like you're gonna think danger, run, right? It's gonna eat me. You don't think, oh, look at the kitty. No, like your brain is hardwired to make assumptions. That's not a bug in our system. That's a feature. That's how we have evolved for so many years. The problem is our brain has not evolved past that. It still thinks that we're in the jungle. It still thinks to detect danger. So when someone doesn't do what we ask them to do, we see that as, is that a threat? Is he doing that on purpose because I told him to do it? Is he being disrespectful to me? No, but he just legitimately doesn't know. Taking a step back and recognizing that your brain makes assumptions all the time, at least for me, it has helped me just kind of take a step back and be like, okay, why are they not doing it? Because there's got to be a reason. And despite what my theories are, I don't believe anybody wakes up thinking, how am I going to upset Oscar today? Nobody does that. Maybe my daughter, she might do that. But besides her, nobody wakes up doing that. So there's got to be a reason for it. Ask them, hey, I noticed that this didn't get done. What happened, man? Can you tell me a little bit about it and let's work through it? Because this needs to happen. That's not the question of this needs to happen. How do we get to make it happen? Just having that. Yeah, I agree. I really believe that just asking those questions and not making the assumptions, we call them in the class, we call them stories. So just watch for the stories that we tell ourselves as to why did this happen. That helps a long way. So it's helped me in my personal life, in my professional life, that course. Shout out to Crucial Conversations.
Awesome. Yeah. And on that vein, Oscar, you mentioned two books already, but any other resources or things that you have found really helpful for yourself or that you find you're often recommending to new leaders or that kind of thing?
I've Audible, man. Audible is my absolute best friend. So I used to read back in high school, then I stopped reading for a while because who's got time to sit down and read a book? When my daughter was born 3.5 years ago, I found myself just like walking around the house, like carrying her like at 2 in the morning, like listening to music. And I'm like, I could do something useful right now. So I downloaded Audible and I started listening to books. And then it just became a habit of, okay, when this time hits and I pick up my daughter, Audible turns on and I'm learning as I'm taking care of her. So that has helped me out tremendously. A lot of the stuff that I do, and I like giving credit to the authors as much as possible. Dan Heath, if for those of you listening, Dan Heath's books are absolute phenomenal. Upstream is one that I'm currently rereading right now because it helps me out in a lot of things just to review it. But yeah, Audible is going to be your best friends. Podcasts such as these, right, where you talk and you hear different perspectives. It's good to to leave your echo chamber sometimes, because you get to see, okay, that was interesting. Let me try and expand on that a little bit more. Yeah, that's what I would recommend as a resource, is just Audible, YouTube. Always look for things to learn from.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I had one thing on that. I had one time we started book club in our organization, and I had a leader tell me, "Oh, I've always wanted to read leadership books. I just never have." And my initial reaction was just to be silly. I was stopping you, buddy. You good? What he obviously meant was I didn't know where to start. We did Atomic Habits there, and which is a phenomenal starter book for those of you listening. Atomic Habits, phenomenal book, because that's the foundation of it, right? It's start off with just the habits, focus on yourself personally, and then you can start growing from there. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Especially the Audible recommendation, I think is really solid for folks in this industry because either if you work more in an office type of environment in this, you probably have a commute, you probably have some sort of time there.
Yep.
But I used to manage an ice cream shop, but I used to get the podcast going while I was doing like the morning prep list, the checklist, because I could
Yep.
do all that in autopilot. But to your point, I think we forget that so many people like they literally just don't have time to sit down and be entirely
Mhm.
focused on a book. But thank goodness for Audible. So an awesome
Oh
recommendation.
yeah.
Oscar, we've covered a ton of stuff. I love that Kathleen summarized it really wonderfully. Like there's some really cool themes that we've come back to. So it really tied well together. And thank you, Oscar, for sharing. In terms of folks that want to maybe follow a little bit more about you or just like what RiseUp is doing, where should we point folks to if they want to see what you're up to or get a little more information?
Absolutely. You can follow us on LinkedIn at Rise Up Restaurants. We actually have next week, depending on when we're releasing this video, but we actually have a leadership meeting coming up where we're going to launch a program called our Area Coach Games, where it combines really just everything we talked about. Really, it combines the data where we're going to create teams within them. They're going to get together and we're going to look at the analytics and they can help each other out. So you can have an area coach or a district manager from San Antonio talking to one in Kansas, pairing up with one in Phoenix, and they get to work together. And we combine their metrics. And as an area, where do you rank from 1 through 8? Because there are 8 teams. And they're going to just be competing with each other for a cash prize. We're going to be doing videos and stuff. We're going to be releasing it. So it'll be documentary. What do you call it? Like a game show style. Think Survivor, really.
Oh, nice.
We're going to be talking about it, but it's going to be based on their leadership tips. Hey, what are we focusing on? Why are we choosing to focus on that type of thing? Well, it'll have like leadership messages throughout it, and it'll also be a little bit silly. We're going to have fun with it just to really continue to promote that culture that we have in our team of just competition. We want to compete with everybody, even with ourselves, just creating that healthy competition. So we're going to have that. So we'll be releasing those on social media for everyone to see. So yeah, just check us out if you're interested in following along our area coach games. And if you're interested in participating in one of those, send us a message. We'll be happy to talk to you.
Awesome. Cool. Oscar, this was a really cool conversation. I love everything we covered. We came into some really cool recurring themes and I love the stories you shared. Thank you for being so generous with your time with us today. And I know listeners are going to get a lot out of it.
Nice. Absolutely. No, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. It's very fun. And all I really want to do, again, since that day when I was 18 years old, is everything I know, take it, everything. I'm here as a resource to anybody and everybody. It's only going to make all of us in the industry better. So that's all I want to do.
Awesome. Yeah. For now, thanks again for joining us, Oscar, and bye for now.
Bye for now. Derek,
Kathleen.
what a conversation. Oscar's amazing because he has a way, obviously data and numbers are his job, his life, and very passionate about that and explaining them and the importance of them and whatnot. He tells a great story too.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's really informed by his background too, right? Like he's come into a data role through the operations and recruiting lens. And that's very different than the spreadsheet wizards who we've come across from time to time who try to run the business from the numbers down versus bottom up, right? And understanding the context and stuff. So it really pulls some really cool experiences.
It really does. And just to clarify, when you say spreadsheet wizards, we've come across from time to time, no one that we've had on the podcast, you're talking about separately
Other
in other
experiences, yes.
circumstances.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But we all know that there's
We
those
do.
folks in the space who really want to run businesses from the numbers, which isn't inherently wrong, but it's which is leading, right? And are you actually applying context to the metrics and the numbers?
100%. And that is Oscar's whole, I think, like, whole thing is numbers matter, and he said it specifically, but people matters too. And people matter too, and you
Yeah.
have to balance them. And I think he does such a great job of that, and his organization. And it's a great reminder for all of us.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. Kathleen, how are we going to distill this down into some shifting questions? Anything coming to mind?
It's hard because there's quite a few that I want to ask, but I have come down to one. Do you want me to go first, Eric?
Yeah, you go first.
Okay. I feel like you always go first, so I'll take it this time. So obviously numbers, data, metrics are Oscar's whole thing. And he had an amazing analogy that I absolutely love of if you're not looking at the numbers, it's like you're playing in a basketball game with no score, right? Or hockey or baseball or football, whatever.
Yeah, choose your sport, choose your adventure.
Sports.
Yeah, your board game. If you don't like sports, it could be a board game.
Yeah, Scrabble, Jeopardy. I'm more of a Jeopardy person, honestly. But so no matter what, you're going to be more in the game if you're aware of the score. And so in business, the score is the numbers. And so I guess my shifting question would be, what are the metrics you're tracking? And does your team, right, even down to your frontline team crew member, do they know at least some of them? And because, obviously, from Oscar, if they don't, are they just playing in a game with no score?
Yeah.
Maybe the actionable item from this is either looking at those numbers and telling them, or asking your team what the numbers are and trying to figure out if they know them. Of course, then coming up with a plan to impart that knowledge to them.
Yeah, and it really instilled the sort of care that he talks about. Yeah, and there's a big difference between, do they know the numbers only because you shared them at the end of the month, or are they looking at them on a daily basis? And to your point, right? Are they looking at the numbers you want them to be really focused on, or especially in the restaurant industry, right? Like your daily reports, everything, there's so many numbers, but maybe daily sales is not the most important. Maybe it's that labor number, guest satisfaction, et cetera. So
there's so many. They could be, you're so right. They could be looking at a totally different number than you are and focused on that. Maybe that is an issue that you haven't realized.
And that's the
on the one that you care about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's the cultural part, right? Have you made a culture where people want to care about those specific metrics, right?
Yeah, I love that. Derek, what is your shifting question?
Oh, we got a data person, so let's stick with a bit of the theme. I'm going to tie two different things he said together for a question, which is, you talked about this sort of reactive cycle of treating open positions as just like seats to fill, and how you can end in this cycle where you're just filling seats. You're not necessarily empowering those people and really helping them. And that leads to turnover, etc. And then the second thing he talked about, exactly off of your question, right? Knowing your metrics, right? And do you care about the right ones? I think a really important one there is actual retention, right? And so my question, that was a long preamble to the question, which is really, if you don't know it, like what would you estimate your retention, or the inverse is obviously turnover. What is your annual retention rate for your team? And if you don't know that, obviously that's maybe something to go diagnose and look at. What does that say about where you are in that cycle, right? Of making sure people are actually not just being put into seats, but actually empowered to be successful in their job.
Yes, I like that. And I like to tie it to the game that he said he plays with his team of guess what you think your number is, and then go look at it and see how far you are from it.
Yeah.
I love a game. So
we all love it. Yeah.
I think that is a very cool game to play. So yes, guess your number, then go find it.
Yeah. And to his point too, I bet you most folks probably Turnover, especially because it's such a reactive thing in this industry, especially like it's usually quit with very little notice, etc. So it probably feels like it is worse than it is. It's still a good test, right? Is your feel like close to what the actual numbers are?
Yeah, I love that one. And then just to wrap it up, Derek, I just want to mention the area coach games that he mentioned. Those are so amazingly cool. It sounds like it's going to be one, great games, two, great like interactive like stuff on socials that people can watch and follow along with. I
Yeah.
think be a really great example for other people to other organizations to use. So I would definitely suggest anyone listening to go follow along with Rise Up and Oscar on LinkedIn to follow along with those games and get some ideas for yourself from those games. And then
Amen.
I'm hoping we can have Oscar on. Oh, they last about 6 months, he said. When those games are over, we hope to have Oscar back and really dig deep into what they were, what the results were, how they impacted, what he would do different. And so if anyone has, as they're following along, if you have questions or want to know more about them, let us know and we'll ask Oscar next time.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, you're especially right. I think a lot of folks understand that they should do more like recruitment branding, right? But like, how do I do that, right? Do I just go into my restaurant or my store or whatever and like record people? Do it something like this is the content kind of flows naturally out of it, just documenting and
Yeah, or they want to do some sort of content and they don't know what it is. And this is a great
exactly.
way to, it's a great example, a great way to tie content into like your daily, like something you're doing for your team, add a benefit of engaging your team, of course.
That's a good wrap up, Kathleen. For now, thanks for coming to work with us.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.